Welcome to Live Action Fitness Character Creation with me, Coach Jason. I'm joined today by Mr. Alan Weatherall, science teacher and game master for kids at Key Elementary School. Thanks for being here, Mr. Weatherall. It's great to see you again.
You're sure welcome. Great to see you too, Jason.
All right, so we're going to be doing some character creation for one of our upcoming Live Action Fitness demo games. So I actually want to start with a little screen share, and we'll kick things off on the Live Action Fitness site. So let me scroll up here. It's a resource that I've created. We have a character creation page, little quotation from the Stoic Epictetus. First, ask yourself who you want to be and then do what you have to do. So, who do you want to be? Who are you becoming? That's the first question. Since you have some experience, Mr. Weatherall, you might already have an idea of the archetype, the sort of character class that you want to play. And then we'll get into some of the basic stats. Let me come back here and end the screen share. So you're going to be playing in a role-playing game, little demo here. Do you have any ideas off the bat on the type of character that you'd like to create?
I'll approach it from a couple different ways. One could be from a background story, right, of where I have as an origin story. Some people, especially students, like to have a new iteration of a character they're familiar with, like Harry Potter
Hmm.
or something from a book or a movie that they just want to play the role as in this. So I would say I'm a big comic book fan. Like Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah.
So depending on kind of the mood you're in or the books students are reading or movies, being a comic book fan, let's say I like Conan the Barbarian. So I want to model my character after that, which would be the archetype of like a warrior, or specifically in D&D that's classified as a barbarian. But there are a lot of ways that the origin or the inception of a character can begin. So that'll be mine.
There you go. Okay, that's great answer. Great answer. I'm actually reading some of the Conan short stories right now. I took a little break, but yeah, those are tons of fun. Great.
A little brutal for maybe a younger age group.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm,
but incredible. Tons of short stories. I think one
mhm,
novel, and of course
mhm.
they made the movies. Exactly. A lot of the kids, some of them will start out like you said, like from movies. So one of my other guys, you reminded me, he's playing Legolas, basically, almost like Legolas's cousin Largolas.
Right.
So that's the stereotype right there, the
Mhm.
archetype. So perfect answer, the barbarian. Let me bring the screen share back. So that way, since you had some experience, I wanted to just pitch it to you right away. If you were new, I have another page for the archetypes, and it's exactly like you said, that's a type of warrior, right? So we have
Mhm.
warriors and rogues and mages. This is the breakdown. And with warrior, rogue, and mage, we have different archetypes within each category. So the barbarian, that's a great classic type of warrior. So you're more of a savage, you're less civilized, you don't have to worry about all the social niceties. And you, of course, have signature abilities like rage, where you just hulk out, you get extra strength, deal extra damage, and all that good stuff. Just briefly exploring some of the other archetypes, and then we'll get into choosing some of your stats here. So, of
Okay.
course, we have the archer, like Legolas, like we mentioned before. The knight in shining armor. That's a different way to be a warrior, but maybe you could be someone who's chivalrous, someone who shows respect, maybe comes from a noble class, or the paladin, very similar, kind of holy warrior. I do love barbarians though, because I feel like you've got this warrior archetype, but the barbarian, it gives you almost like a lifestyle. So excellent answer. I put ranger on there, pirate, samurai, even monk for martial classes. And in our game, everybody is also going to be think of yourself as multi-class. but you have priorities, right? So warrior would be your top priority. That would be your number one core stat. So with warrior and rogue and mage, we can briefly look at some of the other archetypes, like a rogue archetype, like an assassin or a thief, mage archetype, the clerics, the necromancers, witches and warlocks and wizards, druids, classic. I love the druid using nature magic. Let's take it back a step. All right. So we're going as a barbarian. Okay. Now, next up, picking your 3 core stats. So I categorize these, like I said, warrior, rogue, and mage. So warrior based on combat and athletics. The rogues are the clever and sneaky guys. Then the mage, they're casting their spells, using magic powers. So you do get all 3. We already know where you're starting from here. So all you got to do, super easy, you get to put them in an order of your choice. And that way, if you were completely new, I'll come back here. I present these in cards. So I put cards on the table, warrior, rogue, and mage. And what you're going to do here is put these cards in the order of your choice. So give it up to you.
Yeah, well, if I'm deriving it from Conan, he's first and foremost combat oriented, but when you read the fiction, he's thoughtful, right? And not just a mindless berserker. So definitely first would be combat. So that'd be my number 1. Number 2 would be a rogue to infiltrate all of these different dungeons and things and to have street smarts. That's also a lot of the fiction. And that I'll play in a stereotype that they tend to be fearful of magic. So
Yeah.
that would be my lowest one is mage, maybe even like not at all eliminating it. Then middle would be rogue, and then top is warrior.
That's perfect. Exactly. So you get to put them in the order of your choice just like that. So super simple. I'm going to create a stat card for you, which we'll use when we're actually in our game. Since you know a little bit about the dice, when you're rolling for each of these core stats, it matches with the archetypes, but now you have these as your core stats. So your warrior stat, this is when you're actually using your weapons in combat or some sort of athletics check, endurance check. You have to jump across this epic gap or climb a castle wall, something that requires physical capability and endurance. So warriors at the top, you get a +3 in your warrior stat, just like that. Then it goes to rogue and simple. Rogue is +2 and mage is +1. 3, 2, 1.
Right?
Okay. So we just put them in order just like that. Now, it's funny too, because, yeah, people forget Conan the Barbarian, he did operate sometimes as a thief in the movies and in some of the books. So Conan was sneaking around. He was scaling up the castle walls and sneaking past the guards and then finding himself, oh, I'm in a tough spot. So, yeah, he's very much a warrior and a rogue. Not really interested in magic. Yeah, magic's kind of mysterious and unknown. Exactly. Not everyone's cup of tea. So perfect. Now you
And players tend to infuse a relationship between their stats and the background story. So maybe someone wants to have the mage as number 2 and it relates to something in their background or they have an item. Your system is pretty flexible that way. So that's very good.
yeah, exactly. That's the idea. So I'm glad you see that. I had some people who they're a rogue, so they want to be a thief, but then sometimes it makes a difference what that next stat is. It really makes a difference with your character because they might be an arcane trickster who uses a bit of magic to enhance their ability to sneak around or trick people, or they might be rogue and then warrior, so they're much more combat heavy. And now this will affect your other stats. We'll go to defense. So this would be equivalent to your armor class. So the higher your defense, the harder it is to hit you in a combat situation and deal damage to you. So defense here, very simple. We take your warrior, which is a +3, we add it
Mhm.
to your rogue, which is a +2, and then we add 10. So your total would be 15. And so
Mhm.
the order that you just selected directly impacts your
Right.
defense score.
Okay.
Okay. So you're physically strong and powerful. You can block some deadly blows as a warrior. And then as a rogue, you might be quick and clever. You know how to get out of the way, or you notice when someone's about to attack you and you can either prepare to dodge or something like that. Use take evasive action. All
Right.
right. So the warrior and the rogue stats boost your defense, and then mage is something separately altogether when you actually have access to magic. And then for those who want to put magic or mage at the top, okay, you've got your special powers now that you have access to that other people don't have access to. But of course, that comes with a lower defense.
Mhm.
Make sense?
Right.
Right?
You have trade-offs and strengths and weaknesses.
Trade-offs. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly, trade-offs. Okay, so just a few more questions,
Yeah.
and then we'd be all set.
Okay.
So, Conan the Barbarian, all right, this is great. One of my favorite examples, Conan the Barbarian often used a big great sword. Harry
Mhm.
Potter had a wand.
Mhm.
Gandalf had a staff. Legolas has the bow. What would you have, Mr. Weatherall? This is called your focus item.
Right. They all have these trademark items and weapons and implements. Conan the Barbarian would have had the Atlantean sword, had the double-headed snake right at the hilt there. So I'm gonna go with just a one-handed sword.
Ah, okay, one-handed sword.
Yeah, just
Interesting.
one-handed.
Okay. Well, that gives you some other options, right? You could have had a big two-handed sword, but then it would take up both of your hands, right? So
Right.
now who knows? You could grab some other piece of equipment, you could pick up a shield.
Sorry.
No worries, lighting here, motion
I have my own
capture.
magic tricks in here, so
Exactly. Yeah, you do. There's an illusionist at work
yes.
somewhere. So now you've got a free hand,
Mhm.
which you'll be able to use in the game, picking up some other items, adding it into your inventory. So starting with the one-handed sword, and then we'll get into special abilities. You touched on this, or we touched on this a little bit before. As a barbarian, what kind of special abilities, as you level up, do you think you would be able to access?
So, barbarians have a combat oriented, so they would be able to handle maybe many foes at a time.
Mm.
They also have pretty high constitution, so maybe they can handle extreme cold and heat, and they can withstand environmental effects that another type of character can't. So it might not necessarily just be combat related. So I would expect to see skills and feats and such like as they progress through any whatever the advancement system is.
Yeah, exactly. So as you complete the adventures and quests, you'll be getting new special abilities, just like you'll get new items to add to the
Mhm.
inventory. And those are two of the main ways that you'll level up. So you don't have one discrete, like I'm level one, level two, level three. It's more about acquiring these new special abilities and
Mhm.
items that give you options. You want to have options. So we talked about rage, so you might have extra attacks, and also I love that. You really great job, like, helping me think outside the box as well, where you might have maybe an endurance to the cold because 'cause you're out there in the frozen tundra, living in the wilderness, you're roughing it,
Mhm.
so you might have some extra endurance or resistance to the elements. That's a great special ability. And barbarians are interesting because sometimes since they're outsiders, they have sometimes a connection to nature as well and the animals and the elements that come along
Or
with it.
some kind of companion, animal companion of some kind, which
Yeah.
people tie to druids a lot. Could be the case that they have a hawk that is their animal companion.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. That's the kind of thing. I think the barbarians and druids, they have that connection to nature. Yeah, hawk, or I was thinking about like a wolf or something. Yeah,
Mhm.
super cool. So you'll be getting new special abilities. You get to start with the one-handed sword. That'll be part of the starting equipment. You've
Mhm.
got your basic stats and the archetype, which is really what helps you. It's like the North Star. As you're leveling up, you're becoming more and more of a barbarian as you develop your character. So, last couple things here, you don't even have to answer now for the last couple
Okay.
of things, right? So, this is something we do just in session 0. You've gotten the main things out of the way. We've got your stats, we've got the archetype, abilities, and items. And now, the last 2 things here, it's your name. So, if you
Mhm.
know what you want to name your character, we can do that now, but I'll be asking when it's game time and I'll have you do
Mhm.
a brief little introduction for the character that you're playing. So, you can think about that. And then one of the other things, if I can, maybe I'll sneak in a quick little screen share one more time. The other one is your character image. And since
Okay.
we have cards when we're in person, and every character also has a profile that's online. So I'll be building your profile,
Cool.
putting the stats there in your inventory, and with your online profile comes a profile picture. So whether
Cool.
it's an actual picture of Conan the Barbarian or something that you draw yourself, some of the kids, it's incredible. They make their own drawings. Some of the kids also do AI generated artwork. It's really just amazing
Cool.
stuff. So the last thing you get to do here, develop your character name and then the character image. Make sense?
Yeah, I would say character name is something that I probably take the most time of for some reason out of every other component of a character. So I'm gonna have to think on that.
Sure.
And the image, I'll find something to maybe from a past character I had doodled on or something like that. But I'll have to consider those until
Yeah,
we
exactly.
get to
It's meant to be something that you get to think about after you've started the character creation process. And then later on, when you have that, just shoot it over to me, text me
Great.
or email, and then I'll be able to upload that. And that'll be your character image on your character profile.
Awesome.
All right.
That's great.
So, just to see a few quick ideas in the last second here, I'll go into our menu for live action fitness. We've got all these different folders, keeping things organized. We're starting out at the Bard's College Adventure Academy. You get your invitation in the mail. So stand by. We're going to be digging into that in our first adventure. Heroes of Live Action Fitness. These are our actual live action fitness current players. So we've got some folders here. You'll be going in the professionals folder
Okay.
as a fellow professional, but now we've got some of the kids. So just briefly, some of the teenagers here. Let's see, we've got just a couple of my favorite profiles and profile pictures. A Dragonborn
Very
Barbarian.
nice.
All
Cool.
right. It's like you. And let's see if I go back to the teens here. Another one of my favorites, a wizard. Yeah, with a wizard staff.
Mm.
Exactly. That's AI generated. And let's see here. Let's try one more just so we get a little sample. A Shaolin monk. Another one of
Very
my
cool.
favorites there. Exactly. So the image can be whatever you need it to be. All right. And so
Awesome.
we're ready to go. And thanks for hopping on. This was a blast.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. Look forward to playing. I'll be ready to go and put the barbarian out in the world.
All right. I'll see you then at our
Okay.
first gaming session. Thanks
I'll see
again,
you.
Mr.
Can't
Weatherall.
wait.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
See you, Jason. Bye for now.